We are on the record for hearings in the matters listed in the North Dakota Industrial Commission hearing docket for April 18th. I'm David Garner, hearing examiner for these hearings. We are at the hearing room for the Department of Mineral Resources, Oil and Gas Division, and it is 9 a.m. There is no administrative docket today, so we'll begin with moving to case number 30835. Application of Formentera Operations, LLC, for an order amending the field rules for the Larson Bakken Pool and or Leaf Mountain Bakken Pool, Burke County, North Dakota, so as to create and establish the following. 1. 3 19-20-acre spacing units comprised of sections 4, 9, and 16, Township 162 North, Range 94 West, sections 25 and 36, Township 162 North, Range 94 West, and section 1, Township 161 North, Range 94 West, and sections 26 and 35, Township 162 North, Range 94 West, and section 2, Township 161 North, Range 94 West, authorizing the drilling of a total not to exceed 8 horizontal wells on each proposed 19-20-acre spacing unit. 2. 4 overlapping 19-20-acre space units comprised of sections 5, 8, and 17, sections 6, 7, and 18, sections 11, 14, and 23, and sections 19, 30, and 31, Township 162 North, Range 94 West, authorizing the drilling of a total not to exceed 8 horizontal wells on each proposed overlapping 19-20-acre spacing unit. And 3, an overlapping 38 40-acre spacing unit comprised of sections 25, 26, 35, and 36, Township 162 North, Range 94 West, and sections 1 and 2, Township 161 North, Range 94 West, authorizing the drilling of a horizontal well on or near the section line between existing spacing units on said proposed overlapping 38 40-acre spacing unit and or such further relief. All interested parties, please come forward.
Thank you, Mr. Examiner, and good morning. My name is Lawrence Bender, P.O. Box 1855, Bismarck, North Dakota, and I'm appearing in case 30835 on behalf of Formentera Operations, LLC. Formentera intends on calling 3 witnesses this morning. Those witnesses will be appearing by telephone. Our first witness will be in the area of land, Mr. Donald Harrell. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, but when we call him, we'll find out for certain. Second, we'll call a geologic witness, Ms. Taylor Bartholomew. And our third witness will be in the area of engineering, Mr. Shane Farren, F-A-R-R-E-N. And we're ready to proceed, Mr. Examiner.
Mr. Harrell.
Yes, sir.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be true and correct to the best of your knowledge and belief?
I do.
Donald, let's start first with you correcting me if you need to in terms of pronunciation of your name, and then I'd also like you to spell your last name.
Donald Harrell, H-A-R-R-E-L-L. You have the correct pronunciation.
Okay, thank you. And Donald, by whom are you employed?
Formentera Operations.
And in what capacity?
As a senior landman.
And in that capacity, excuse me, have you had an opportunity to testify before the commission previously?
I have not. This is my first time.
Okay, what I'd like you to do, Donald, is briefly highlight for the commission staff your educational background and work experience.
Yes, I attended the University of Oklahoma and graduated with a energy management degree. I've worked in land for 12 years in all facets throughout land administration at ConocoPhillips, Parsley Energy, and now Formentera Operations, and now for the past 3 years done subsurface land negotiation and 2 years in the Bakken.
Okay, and in preparation for today's hearing, have you made a thorough study and review of all the relevant land matters concerning Formentera's request in case 30835?
Yes, I have.
And have you prepared or had prepared under your control and supervision some exhibits you intend to sponsor?
I have.
I'd offer the further testimony of this witness out of an expert.
Motion granted.
Donald, let's go to the packet of exhibits that I've distributed to the commission staff. I assume you have a packet in front of you?
Yes, sir.
And let's skip the cover page, and the second page is just an overview. I think we can skip over that given the fact that the examiner has read the caption. So let's go to, first of all, Exhibit 1. And what I'd like you to do is first identify Exhibit 1 and then briefly describe what's contained upon it.
Yes, this exhibit is showing a regional map of where we are asking for these motions. The orange highlighted areas are the DSUs that we are looking to have amended.
Okay, and then let's go to the next exhibit, Exhibit 2, as you did with Exhibit 1. First, identify the exhibit, and then briefly highlight what's contained upon it.
Yes, in Exhibit 2, this is another location map. It's similar but more zoomed in, showing the DSUs we're looking for in 16294 West. The ones highlighted in red are the specific ones tied to case number 30835.
And then you have in your legend some areas outlined in green and some areas outlined in yellow. Can you tell us what those are?
Yes, we put these on here to show some existing orders that have been placed and also drilled in terms of the Continental for 3-mile wells, 3-mile DSUs. And we'll go into more detail as to why we are crossing the township line of 2635-2 and 2536-1, wanting to point out that we are stacking on top of existing spacing in that area, trying not to strand the acreage.
Okay, and also on this map, it's not listed in the legend, but perhaps you can provide us just a little bit information on it. And there are some areas that are highlighted in purple. Tell us what those are.
Yes, this is the NDIC shape file of the current allowed DSUs and spacing, and those will be, the purple is the 3-mile and the blue are 1280 2-mile DSUs.
So in this area that you're proposing some 1920s, there's already some existing 1,920-acre spacing units established by the commission. Is that a fair statement?
Yes, sir, it is.
And then there's still some 1,280-acre spacing units that are designated in blue in the area. Is that correct?
That is correct.
All right, let's go then on to the next exhibit, Exhibit 3. Tell us what Exhibit 3 is.
Yes, so the next several exhibits that follow the order of the motions that we're asking for, 1, 2, and 3. This is the first DSU showing the outline that we're asking for in motion number 1, and it is section 4, 9, and 16, and we own a 37.56% working interest. Still actively leasing some of these areas, so expect that to grow, but that is the interest that we have at the moment, and there is no existing production in this DSU.
And the fact that there's no existing production, it was because of that I directed you not to include ownership information in the underlying spacing units. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, let's go on to Exhibit 4. Tell us what Exhibit 4 is.
This is the 2 DSUs that are crossing across the township line, 2635-2 and 2536-1. This exhibit 4 is showing our working interest as well for Formentera. Both in these DSUs, it's 71.48 and 92.09. There is no existing production in these DSUs. I would like to call out that south of the 2635-2, there is an existing Continental operated DS or well, as well as 12, 13, and 24 being spaced for 1920 below 25, 36, and 1 as well.
Okay, then let's go to Exhibit 5. Can you tell me what Exhibit 5 is?
So this is the first of item number 2 of the 4 overlapping DSUs. There is an existing AV Flugie well in 1819, and I've tried, if I can direct you all the way to the right in Exhibit 5, you'll see the larger scale map showing that this will be split into 2 different 1920s to minimize surface disturbance as well as extend the economics of the 3-mile laterals. So we're splitting this 1920, overlapping 1920 with the existing 1280 with 2 1920s, 6, 7, 18, 1930, and 31.
And then to the far left, you have the ownership information on the existing 1280. Is that correct?
That's correct. We own 81.43% and as well as 64.32 in the 6, 7, 18 when it's divided, and 56.25. And I do not have it listed on here, but Lone Star Geophysical is the other party in that row.
All right, then let's go to Exhibit 6. Tell us what Exhibit 6 is.
Exhibit 6 is the same, but there is no split. It's just a 640, and it's showing the existing in green on the left with an 81.56% interest, and then extending that to be a 1920 of 5, 8, and 17, and then trying to show the overlapping all the way on the right side there.
All right, and then Exhibit 7.
Exhibit 7 is the same in case number 2. This is 162, 94, 14, and 23, showing the existing A.B. Iverson, and then the overlapping, if I can call your attention all the way to the right of Exhibit 7, showing the 14 and 23, 1280 DSU within the 11, 14, 23, 1920, showing our working interest.
And Donald, in those situations where Formentera has less than a majority interest in its proposed 1920, will Formentera have conversations with other working interest owners in the spacing unit to determine who should be the operator of those wells?
We will, and we are also continuing to lease it here in Game 1 as well, but yes, that conversation will happen.
Okay. And then let's go to Exhibit 8, and just as sort of an introduction to the commission staff. The commission has been requesting from other operators more information as to spacing in the area, and so we're trying to provide some information to the commission on how this development fits in with other development in the area. I'm going to direct your attention to Exhibit 8, and with what I just stated in mind, can you briefly discuss what's contained on Exhibit 8?
Yes, Exhibit 8 is both showing the existing spacing as well as item number 3 of this case, the 30835, showing the larger 3840 that we're requesting for a section line well full development in 2635-2, 2536-1, and showing the existing purple CSUs on the map that are spacing pits that are currently approved, and then as well as the green 2021, 29, 28, 32, and 33 that was previously approved by Continental, but there is no production in that either.
And you've already touched on this, but just to highlight once again, the reason for the request to cross township lines with 2635 and 2 and 2536 and 1 is because of the development immediately to the south. Is that correct?
That is correct. So trying to stack on top of Notch Strand, sections 1 and 2, where we have significant acreage, and it does not look like they're available 3 miles, especially going north to south, but even moving west to east, it would be stranded, and we want to continue the best economics and limit surface use in as far as that area, so trying to stack right on top of those.
And other than those two 1920s, all the other proposed 1920s that Formentera is proposing in this area fit what is commonly referred to as patterned locations. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. No further questions.
Any questions from the staff?
I don't have a question, but I just want to say I do appreciate the discussion about how this is all going to fit together in the surrounding area. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Bartholomew,
Yes, sir. Good morning.
do you solemnly swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be true and correct to the best of your knowledge and belief?
Yes, I do.
Taylor, would you state your full name for the record, please, and spell your last name?
Yes. Taylor Bartholomew, Bartholo, M as in Matthew, E-W.
Thank you. And Taylor, by whom are you employed,
Formentera Operations.
and in what capacity?
I am a project geologist currently working in development and, operations.
And Taylor, by whom are you, well, excuse me, you've already indicated that. Have you ever testified before the commission?
No, I have not.
What I'd like you to do, Taylor, is briefly highlight for the examiner and the commission staff your educational background and work experience.
Yes, absolutely. I have a Bachelor of Science in Geological Science from the University of Texas and a Master's in Equal Field from Texas Christian University in Fort Worth. I have cumulatively 3 years of onshore development operations experience, both for conventional and unconventional resources, and almost 8 years of offshore development, production, and geologic operations experience, both in the Gulf of Mexico and West Africa.
Okay, and in preparation for today's hearing, have you made a thorough study and review of all the relevant geologic matters concerning Formentera's application in case 30835?
Yes, sir, I have.
And have you prepared or had prepared under your control and supervision some exhibits you intend to sponsor?
Yes, I have 2 exhibits to address. For a few exhibits, address the data, and then through which I've evaluated the reservoirs in the area.
I'd offer the further testimony of this witness that of an expert.
Motion granted.
Taylor, let's go to the first geologic exhibit. I think that's marked as Exhibit 9, am I correct?
Yes, sir.
What I'd like you to do is identify Exhibit 9, and as Donald did, after you've identified it, briefly discuss the importance of that exhibit with respect to Formentera's application.
Yes, sir, understood. Exhibit 9 is going to be at the top of the Upper Bakken structure map. This map was created in this area inclusive of 200 plus wells penetrating the Bakken and the Three Forks with log data. There are various wells that do not have any log data in our system, so I only included those with specific and detailed log curves. The contour interval is a 50-foot interval, and I've included our type log, which I'll address in the next few slides. The Huddle 6-21. It's right in the section closer to the west side of 162 North, 94 West. The geology of the Upper Bakken is between 5,700 and 6,200 subsea TVD feet in our area of interest, and it's of a slight dip of 89 degrees to the southwest.
Okay, and then let's go to Exhibit 10, and as you did with Exhibit 9, identify and briefly highlight.
Again, this is the Huddle 6-21 as indicated on the map prior. I've included an inset map to relocate at a larger scale where this well lies in the area around our DSU. This was the log that had, or the well that had the most specific and characterized log, so I felt it fit for our type log. This well I've interpreted from the Niobrara all the way through to the Bird Bear, which lies below the Three Forks.
All right, and let's go to Exhibit 11.
Absolutely. Using the same log shown our Chuck reservoirs, our Middle Bakken, and our Upper Three Forks at a larger scale to see more detail of the specific reservoirs. This is again is still from our type log, the Huddle 6-21. The Middle Bakken is roughly 60 feet TVD. This footage thickness carries pretty consistently over the entire area and counties. There's only much variation within the Middle Bakken of maybe 5 to 10 feet, but that is more toward the northwest. The Upper Three Forks consistently 25 feet thickness TVD throughout the field.
Okay, and in terms of how many Middle Bakken wells will be drilled and how many Three Forks wells will be drilled, the engineering witness is going to discuss that in further detail during his testimony. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
No further questions of the geologic witness.
Any questions from the staff?
Taylor, on your exhibit 10, the tracks
Yep.
that you have depicted on the type log, there's not a label at the top, so can you just go through what the trace is, the left and the right?
Follow.
I'm assuming it's a
Right.
tract on the left?
Yes. Turmeric on the left. I have stated it on a scale of the gamma over 200 shades of colors to try to depict the lithology, where we can see the shales all the way through sands, which would be yellow, and then limestone, which would be more of that purplish blue color. On the right-hand side, we have resistivity, and it's shaded above a scale of 20.
Okay, and then on your exhibit 11, gamma on the left, give me the labels across the exhibit 11 as well.
Sure. So gamma is going to be on the left. The middle, we have the depth track that's going to be in TBD feet, again with resistivity. And then we have porosity in the track just to the right of the resistivity. And then we have caliper and ST all the way on the far right.
Okay, thank you.
Taylor, on your exhibit 9, the last bullet indicates the formation is dipping 89 degrees to the southwest. Is that the azimuth? Or the angle of dip, or what is that?
Yes, so it's the angle of dip. So it would be a -1 degree. And so we're calling it 89 from the 0 line. So it would be a 91 if we were to be geosteering this. We would be landing at 90 to 91 degrees if we were having northbound well, and we would be landing at 89 to match the dip if we were having a southbound well.
So it's a 1 degree down dip.
Correct.
Thank you.
Mr. Farren,
Yes, sir.
do you solemnly swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be true and correct to the best of your knowledge and belief?
I do.
Shane, would you state your full name for the record and spell your last name?
Yes, Shane Farren, Farren,
And Shane, by whom are you employed?
Formentera Operations LLC.
In what capacity?
I am the production engineer over the Northern Assets.
And in that capacity, have you testified before the commission previously?
No, I have not.
What I'd like you to do, as the other two witnesses have done thus far, is briefly highlight for us your educational background and work experience.
Sure. I hold a Bachelor of Science in Petroleum Engineering and a Master's in Science and Finance from Texas A&M University. I've worked a total of 8 years in the industry as a petroleum engineer in various roles. I've previously worked at Petrobras for operating company and Rockall Energy for 6+ years. And I currently worked at Formentera Operations for around 1.5+ years.
And in preparation for today's hearing, have you made a thorough study and review of all the relevant engineering matters concerning this request?
Yes, sir, I have.
And have you prepared or had prepared under your control and supervision exhibits you intend to sponsor?
Yes, sir, I have.
Now, for the further testimony, of this witness, that of an expert.
Motion granted.
Shane, let's move to the next exhibit in the packet. It's been previously marked as Exhibit 12. Could you identify that exhibit for us, please, and briefly discuss what's contained upon it?
Yes, sir. Exhibit 12 shows our proposed full development plan for a 19-20-acre spacing unit located in Township 152 North, Range 94 West, Section 4916. Proposed plan consists of alternating Middle Bakken and Three Forks horizontal wells with approximately 585-foot interwell spacing. The blue stacked lines on Exhibit 12 represent the proposed Middle Bakken horizontals, and the orange dashed line represent the proposed Three Forks horizontals. Also shown are proposed setbacks of 50 north-south and 500 east-west.
Okay, and what you've depicted on your Exhibit 12 is a generic development pattern for 1920s that are on pattern. Is that a fair statement?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's go to Exhibit 13, and as you did with Exhibit 12, first identify the exhibit and then discuss what's contained upon it.
So Exhibit 13 shows our full development plan for a 1920 acre spacing unit located in Township 162 North, Range 94 West, Section 26 and 35, and Section 161 North, Range 94 West, Section 2. And the proposed plan is the same alternating Mill Bakken and Three Forks horizontals with the same interwell spacing.
And this, what I'll refer to as a generic development plan, would only apply to the other non-pattern 1920. Is that correct? The one immediately to the east?
Yes, sir.
Let's then go to exhibit, well, I'm sorry, I asked you a question, and it's on the next exhibit. Apologize. Let's go to exhibit 14. Tell me what that is.
So that would be the proposed 1920 acre spacing unit to the east of previously shown 1920 spacing unit. Follows the same alternating Mill Bakken and Three Forks horizontal pattern and same interwell spacing.
Okay, and then let's go to exhibit 15.
So Exhibit 15 shows our proposed full development plan for the overlapping 1920 acre spacing units located in Township 162 North, Range 94 West, Section 6718 and 1931. The green line represents a currently producing horizontal well. The same alternate Mill Bakken and Three Forks pattern will be utilized along with the same interwell spacing. We'll just offset it where the horizontal producer is.
In other words, the development will be a little bit different in this, in these two spacing units because of the existing well in 18 and 19 in the approximate center of that 1280. Is that a correct statement?
Yes, sir, that is correct.
Okay, let's go to exhibit 16.
Exhibit 16 shows our proposed full development plan for 1920 acre spacing unit located in Township 162 North, Range 94 West, Sections 11, 14, and 23. The green line represents currently producing horizontal well, and the same alternating Mill Bakken and Three Forks pattern and the same interwell spacing will be utilized. Yes, sir.
Okay, and then once again, there'll be one less well in section 11 because of the existing well in 14 and 23 in the approximate center of that 1280. Is that a fair statement?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Okay, let's go to exhibit 17.
Exhibit 17 shows our proposed full development plan for the 3840 acre spacing unit located in Township 162 North, Range 94 West, Sections 25, 26, 35, and 36. In Township 161 North, Range 94 West, Sections 1 and 2. The proposed plan is to drill one Three Forks well approximately down the middle north-south. And then there's also the proposed setbacks are included on this diagram.
And that well that's down the center of this proposed 3840 is to recover the oil that otherwise would not be recovered from the two stand-up 1920s. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
And you understand that that well would need to be drilled in a 500-foot corridor, 250 feet either side of the section line. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And is it your plans to drill that section line well in conjunction with developing the two 1920s?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let's go on then to the next exhibit, and if you could, very briefly, well, first identify the exhibit, and then very briefly discuss the more pertinent aspects of this exhibit.
Yes, so Exhibit 18 shows our proposed Middle Bakken wellbore diagram. The surface casing will be set at approximately 1650 feet. The air top in the area is located around 1588 feet. From there, the intermediate casing will be set at a minimum of 150 feet from the north-south section boundary. The production hole will be at a minimum of 150 feet from north-south section boundaries. Not shown on this, but the proposed Three Forks wellbore diagram same, except depths are deeper by around 30 to 50 feet TBD.
Okay, and then Exhibit 19, can you tell us what Exhibit 19 is?
Yes, Exhibit 19 shows the reserves and economics for a Middle Bakken well. We're in an initial rate of 830 barrels of oil a day. The economics will run using an initial oil price of $80.49 in 2024 and dropping to $70.22 in 2026. Gas price was fixed at $3.25 an MCF. Drill cost is estimated at $9 million. We are expecting an oil EUR of 563,000 barrels and a gas EUR of 1303 million cubic feet. Expected rate of return is 60% and payout of 16 months.
And Formentera wouldn't be too unhappy if you were wrong about the oil price falling down to $70 in 2026, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, let's go to Exhibit 20. Tell us what Exhibit 20 is.
So Exhibit 20 shows the reserves and economics for Three Forks well. From our area of review, we have not seen any different production profile of the Middle Bakken and Three Forks, and that is why these economics and reserves are identical to the Middle Bakken case.
Okay. Now, what's noticeably absent, Shane, from your presentation at this point in time is reservoir characteristics. Is that something that you could supply the commission for both the Middle Bakken and the Three Forks in a supplemental exhibit?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then going on to Exhibit 21, is that a gas capture affidavit that the commission typically requires in these sorts of hearings?
Yes, sir, it is.
And in your opinion, will the requested relief, if granted, will it prevent waste? Will it protect correlative rights? And will it prevent the drilling of unnecessary wells?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Examiner, that's all the questions I have. We'd offer the exhibits and request that the record remain open for probably until next week, Wednesday, for us to submit the information having to do with the reservoir characteristics of both the Middle Bakken and the Three Forks.
Okay, the record will remain open till the 24th, is that?
I think that's correct.
Okay.
Thank you. I should come more prepared with,
No, that's
with
okay.
dates, but,
I had to look as well.
okay.
The exhibits are admitted. Any questions from the staff?
Shane, in your exhibits 12 through 17, where you're showing your development plan, what is your targeted interwell distance that you're going for here?
5
You broke up, Shane. You'll have to say it, give the answer again.
585 feet.
And then are you going to be batch drilling all of these wells at once, or would you drill some of the Bakken wells and evaluate? What are your plans here?
Yeah, so we would drill actually for Middle Bakken and Three Forks wells, but then depending on those results, adjust the plan.
Sorry, you're cutting out a bit. You're planning on drilling. Could you repeat that?
Yes, sir. The plan would be to initially drill a couple Middle Bakken and Three Forks wells, and depending on those results, adjust the plan, our proposed plan, as needed.
But you would be targeting both the Middle Bakken and the Three Forks with your initial pass?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
In your exhibit 15, what was the target of that existing producer?
So that existing producer was a Middle Bakken lateral.
Is that the case for the producer in exhibit 16 as well?
So the producer in Exhibit 16 was actually a dual lateral, one lateral in the Middle Bakken, and then one lateral in the Three Forks formation.
So that was stacked off of one well?
Yes, sir.
Exhibit 16, or sorry, 17, are you going to be drilling that well right down the section line, or is there going to be some offset?
It would, as close as reasonable to the section line.
And for your Exhibit 18, you have that you're going to drill or complete with 40 to 60 stages. What is your targeted pounds per foot for proppant?
That would be 1,000 pounds per foot.
Thank you.
Shane, along the lines of what Steve just asked, the existing well, the short lateral well in 17, do you know what the target of that one is?
That is a middle Bakken well.
And you didn't provide a exhibit depicting that particular spacing unit, but after looking at your plans for how you plan to avoid the existing wells on 15 and exhibits 15 and 16, if you would supply a supplemental that would indicate how you plan to develop the wells on 5, 8, and 17 in proximity to that existing well.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Oh, well, one more question, I guess. Just confirming your intent with the Three Forks targets here is to target the upper Three Forks as identified by the geologic witness?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Shane, I'm going to ask that you submit a exhibit, it can be one exhibit, of the space units in the area and where you plan on, where your preliminary plan on placing your surface locations and how many wells are going to be drilled off of each one.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
And you did say preliminary, is that right? I mean, because it could change, obviously.
Obviously, yep.
Okay, thank you.
Shane, on your exhibit 15 and 16, it looks like you have accommodated the existing well by doubling the interwell distance to the north or north and south of that. And it looks like your optimum interwell distance for your other drilling is about 500 feet. So what is the impact of that wider spacing, or do you have plans to modify the placement of those well bores to drain that area? How are you going to optimize the drainage of those areas?
Yes, we would plan to adjust the proposed lateral as needed. These were just a generic showing our proposed spacing, but those will be modified to recover as much as possible.
So looking, for example, at Exhibit 15, in Sections 6 and 7, the wells that you plan to drill would be moved slightly to the east and west in order to even the spacing out across 6 and 7?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Lawrence, is the 24th long enough for you to provide all of the supplements that have been requested?
I believe so, and as in the past, Mr. Examiner, in the event we run into a problem, we'll be making a request to you to extend that, but I think we can make that date.
Okay. Well, we'll stick with the April 24th date of keeping the record open. And that concludes our hearing for case number 30835. Case number 30836. application of Oil Operating LLC for an order amending the field rules for the partial Bakken Pool, Montreal County, North Dakota, so as to create and establish the following. 1. 3 19/20 acre space units comprised of sections 1, 12, 13, sections 11, 14, and 23, and sections 24, 25, and 36, Township 153 North, Range 89 West, authorizing the drilling of a total not to exceed 4 horizontal wells on each proposed 19/20 acre spacing unit. And 2 overlapping 19/20 acre spacing units comprised of sections 14, 23, and 26, and sections 15, 22, and 27, Township 154 North, Range 89 West, authorizing the drilling of a total not to exceed 4 horizontal wells on each proposed overlapping 19/20 acre spacing unit and/or such further relief. This case has been continued to the May hearings. That concludes our hearing for case number 30836. Case number 30838. Application of Hunt Oil Company for an order for the Zoll Bakken Pool, Williams County, North Dakota, to create and establish 4 overlapping 19/20 acre spacing units comprised of sections 1, 2, and 3, sections 10, 11, and 12, sections 13, 14, and 15, and sections 22, 23, and 24, Township 159 North, Range 101 West, authorizing the drilling of a total not to exceed 4 wells on each proposed overlapping 19/20 acre space unit and such further relief as appropriate. All interested parties, please come forward.
Thank you, Mr. Examiner. Lawrence Bender, P.O. Box 1855, Bismarck, appearing case 30838 on behalf of Hunt Oil Company. We intend on calling 3 witnesses. Mr. Matt Bodley will be offering some land testimony. Ms. Kathleen Watkins, Wadkins, will be offering some geologic testimony. And Mr. Zach Goff will be offering some engineering testimony. These witnesses of Hunt Oil Company will be appearing by telephone, and I believe they're on the phone as we speak. Matt, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and do you have Kathleen and Zach there as well?
Yep.
Okay.
Mr. Bodley,
Yes.
do you solemnly swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be true and correct to the best of your knowledge and belief?
I do.
Matt, state your full name for the record, please.
Bodley,
And Matt, by whom are you employed?
Hunt Oil Company,
And in what capacity?
regional land manager.
And in that capacity, have you testified before the commission previously?
I have.
And you've had your qualifications accepted as that of an expert?
I have.
And author further testimony is that of an expert.
Motion granted.
Matt, let's turn to the packet of exhibits. Let's skip the cover page. Let's go to Exhibit 1, identify Exhibit 1, and then very briefly discuss what's contained upon it.
Yep. Exhibit 1 is a regional location map showing Zoll Field within the Williams County.
Okay. And Exhibit 2.
Exhibit 2 shows that this is our proposed 19/20 acre spacing unit in Zoll Field. In the blue are Hunt's existing 1280 acre units. On the top and bottom of the image shows Hunt's existing working interest within those units. And the red dashed outline are the proposed 19/20 acre laydown units that Hunt is proposing. On the left side of the image shows Hunt's working interest in the proposed 19/20, where we would have 80.09%. In the north, 19/20, 80.09%. In the 19/20 of 10, 11, and 12, 69.21%. In both 13, 14, 15, and 22, 23, and 24.
Okay, no further questions for the land witness.
Any questions from the staff? Ms. Watkins,
Yes,
do you solemnly swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be true and correct to the best of your knowledge and belief?
I do.
Kathleen, would you state your full name for the record, please?
Kathleen Watkins,
And Kathleen, by whom are you employed?
Hunt Oil Company
In what capacity?
as a geologist.
And in that capacity, have you testified before the commission previously?
No.
What I'd like you to do, Kathleen, is briefly highlight for the commission staff your educational background and work experience.
I received a Bachelor of Science at Southern Methodist University and a Master's in Geology at Colorado State University, and I've worked at Hunt Oil Company as a geologist for the past 8 years.
And in preparation for today's hearing, have you made a thorough study and view of all the relevant geologic matters concerning Hunt's request?
Yes,
And have you prepared or had prepared under your control and supervision some exhibits you intend to sponsor?
yes,
Have you satisfied yourself as to the accuracy of those exhibits?
yes.
Offer the further testimony of this witness that of an expert.
Motion granted.
All right, Kathleen, let's go to the next exhibit in the packet. Matt discussed 1 and 2. I'd like you to take a look at Exhibit 3, and then first identify Exhibit 3, and then briefly discuss what's contained upon it.
Exhibit 3 is a structure map of the top Bakken Formation. Our proposed 1920 acre units are shaded in red, and the type log for the Zoll field is circled in red in the northwest of the field.
Okay, then let's go to Exhibit 4.
Exhibit 4 is a type log for the Zoll field showing the Ferris 1 well. The Zoll Bakken pool is defined as 50 feet above the top of the Bakken Formation to 50 feet below the top of the Three Forks Formation. The top of the Bakken Formation and the Upper Bakken Shale and the Lower Bakken Shale are shaded in gray, and the Middle Bakken Reservoir and the Three Forks First Bench Reservoir is shaded in yellow. In Track 1, we have gamma ray, Track 2 are porosity curves, and Track 3 are resistivity curves.
No further questions of this witness?
Any questions from the staff?
Kathleen, the intended target here, are you intending to target both the middle Bakken and the upper part of the Three Forks?
The Three Forks perspective is an area, but our current development plan is only for the Middle Bakken.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Goff,
Yes,
do you solemnly swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be true and correct to the best of your knowledge and belief?
I do.
Zach, could you state your full name for the record? Please spell your last name.
Yes, Zachary Goff, Goff.
And Zach, by whom are you employed?
Hunt Oil Company,
In what capacity?
reservoir engineer.
And in that capacity, have you testified before the commission previously?
Yes, I have.
Had your qualifications accepted as that of an expert?
Yes.
Offer the further testimony of this witness that of an expert.
Motion granted.
Zach, let's go to the next exhibit, Exhibit 5. Identify Exhibit 5, briefly discuss what's contained upon it.
Yes, so in Exhibit 5, this is the proposed development for the proposed overlapping 1920 acre units here in Zoll Field. So in the dashed red outline are the proposed 1920 acre units. The solid green lines are the proposed well inventory locations for those 1920 acre units. And the solid blue lines are the existing 1280 acre units. And the dark black lines are the existing producing wells in those units.
Okay, and Exhibit 6?
Exhibit 6 is a typical Bakken wellbore schematic showing our wellbore configuration for this area.
Okay, can you tell us a little bit about how many frac stages you're planning for these
Yeah,
three milers?
Yeah, so approximately 150 foot frac stages. I believe typically we're in the 90 stages for a 15,000 footer.
All right,
Somewhere around there.
okay, excuse me, Exhibit 7?
Yes. So Exhibit 7 is typical Middle Bakken estimated reservoir properties, the reserves and economics associated with it. So for a 1920 acre unit in this field, we're seeing net pay around 45 feet porosity, 6.7%, and 49% water saturation. Original oil in place, roughly 16 million barrels. Your per well recovery for a 15,000 foot well in these units would be approximately 500,000 barrels, leading to a little over a 3% recovery factor.
Okay, you want to talk about the well economics as well, or?
Correct, yeah. This leads to a PV10 of a little under $5 million and north of a 30% rate of return. These economics are reflective of a 100% working interest and 80% NRI.
All right, Exhibit 8.
So, Exhibit 8 is a map of the area surrounding Zoll Field and the vintage of wells that have been drilled around it. And as you can see, that most of the activity around here has been early vintage, pre-2017 spud, and most of these units have not seen activity post-2017.
Okay, and it also shows the general development in the area in relationship to what you're proposing for spacing in portions of 159, 10, is that 101, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, and then let's go to Exhibit 9. Can you tell me what Exhibit 9 is?
Exhibit 9 is a topography and hydrography map of Zoll Field. Similar demarcation of the proposed units and the existing unit, showing the proposed pad location for the 2-well pilot that we would put here in the north that are proximal to our SWD. This development configuration allows for minimal surface disturbance in locations where paths would be readily available to build. And sorry, a little bit of commentary about what was on the map there. But shading is anything that isn't white would be a slope of less than 2.5 degrees. Anything in yellow would be a slope between 2.5 degrees and 5 degrees. And anything in red would be a slope of over 5 degrees. And typically, we see that slopes greater than 5 degrees are not viable for pad location, and slopes in the 2.5 to 5 degree range incur some additional costs with pad development.
So it looks to me that on your Exhibit 9, you're reflecting the fact that tentatively, at least, you're planning on drilling from east to west with your pad locations located on the eastern edge of the proposed 1920s. Is that correct?
For the initial 2-well development, yes.
Okay. All right, let's go to Exhibit 10.
Okay. So Exhibit 10 is Honeywell Company operate produced water infrastructure in the Zoll Field. And again, similar demarcation of the proposed units and existing units as previous exhibit. The additional information here would be the blue lines that you're seeing on the map and the blue triangles denoting our existing saltwater disposal line and our saltwater disposal wells. As you can see, the initial 2-well development is proximal to our saltwater disposal infrastructure. And in this field area, saltwater disposal is material to our economic returns. So being proximal to this infrastructure is meaningful for development economics.
All right, then Exhibit 11.
Yeah, so Exhibit 11 is just similar to the prior exhibit with economics and reservoir properties. However, it's displaying the economic differences between a 15,000-foot lateral and a 10,000-foot lateral. And I draw your attention to the gross well economics here. You can see a significant increase in PV10 and rate of return from roughly $2 million PV10 to $4.7 million PV10 on the from 10,000 foot to 15,000 foot. and 24% rate of return on the 10,000 foot to 33% rate of return on the 15,000 foot. And so the increased capital efficiency of being able to drill 15,000 foot wells up here is meaningful to Honeywell Company and our development plans for this field.
You talked about in discussion of one of the other exhibits showing development back, I think you referred to it as vintage development back in 2017. Has it been, in your opinion, the recent development of horizontal wells on 3-mile laterals rather than 2-mile laterals that has made this area economic to drill now? Is that correct, or?
Yes, in part, we have had some more modern 10,000 foot development in proximal to this field area, and in part, the move to 15,000 footers is due to the increased capital efficiency, as well as reducing our surface disturbance and other input costs such as power and water disposal.
Okay. And Exhibit 12, is that a gas capture affidavit that the commission typically requires in these sorts of matters?
Yes, it is.
And in your opinion, will the requested relief prevent waste, protect relative rights, and prevent the drilling of unnecessary wells?
Yes, it will.
No further questions. Offer the exhibits.
Exhibits are admitted. Any questions from the staff?
Zach, could I have you turn to your Exhibit 5?
Yes.
Those black well bores for the existing wells, what are those all Middle Bakken targets?
There's one that is towards the northeastern unit.
Which one is that?
Yeah, it's the well section 1 and 12.
And do you plan to continue to produce all of those existing wells?
Yes, that is our plan.
Are you planning to have any frac offset or blank stages across them when you're drilling?
We're currently evaluating our completions plan for these wells.
Is there anything different that you would do for these same zone targets for frac protection?
For the offset wells, no, we would frac protect them as usual.
For your Exhibit 6, how many pounds per foot of proppant do you plan on using?
We're currently in the process of evaluating our completion strategy up here, but what I can tell you is that our recent development wells that we've done up here are at 1,300 pounds a foot. We're currently evaluating the economics of that.
Your Exhibit 9,
Yes.
you're showing your 2 initial wells for your pilot. How long do you plan on evaluating before you would move back into the area to drill the rest out?
That is in part dependent on our pilot performance here, and that is also in part why we're drilling these pilot wells in our program this year. We're accelerating our development of these pilot wells so that we can evaluate them quickly to move in a rig with our out-year drilling schedule.
So with the challenging topography in this area, if that pilot wasn't successful and you decided to go back to your 1280s, is there room for expansion of those existing pads, or is the topography in this area not going to allow for that?
Yes, I believe there is room for expansion at those facilities.
Have you identified additional pad locations for your 1920s in the area beyond that initial pilot?
Yes, we've evaluated multiple different pad locations, but none of them have been finalized.
But you found that even with the topography in the area, it would be viable to drill all these out on 1920s?
Yes.
Thank you.
Zach, I'm gonna ask that you submit an exhibit or exhibits depicting your preliminary pad locations for these 1920 wells.
Yes, we will.
Okay, thank you.
Zach, will the 24th of this month give you sufficient time to put that together?
Yes, yes, it will.
Thank you.
The record will remain open till April 24th.
Thank you, Mr. Examiner.
Okay, that concludes our hearing for case number 30838. Case number 30839, application of Hunt Oil Company for an order for the Sioux Trail Bakken Pool, Divide County, North Dakota, to create and establish an overlapping 1920-acre spacing unit comprised of sections 24, 25, and 36, Township 160 North, Range 101 West, authorizing the drilling of a total not to exceed 2 wells of said proposed overlapping 1920-acre space unit and such further release as appropriate. All interested parties, please come forward.
Thank you, Mr. Examiner. Lawrence Bender, P.O. Box 1855, Bismarck, appearing this matter, case 30839, on behalf of Hunt Oil Company. We'll be calling the same 3 witnesses in this matter as we called in the previous matter.
And just a reminder, the witnesses are still under oath.
Thank you. Matt, Exhibit 1.
Exhibit 1 shows Sioux Trail Field within Divide County as our regional location map.
Exhibit 2.
Exhibit 2 shows existing 1280-acre units in blue with the working interest also outlined in blue, and the proposed stand-up 1920 in the dashed red outline with Hunt's working interest in that proposed 1920 shown as 96.77%.
No further questions of the land witness.
Any questions from the staff?
Matt, I'm sure you're aware sections 1 and 12, 13 and 24, and 25 and 36 are currently stand-up 1280s with 1 well on each.
Yeah, yes, sir.
So if this application is granted, what's going to happen to section 13?
So we would plan to, depending on the performance of the spacing unit that we're proposing, we would like to propose a stand-up 1920 with 112 and 13. If it doesn't meet our expectations and we find that 10,000 footers are the best fit for this field, we would request increased density for the 10,000 foot 10,000 foot or the 1280 acre spacing units.
And Mr. Boer, in compliance with what the commission has requested in previous applications that Hunt has made, we did provide an exhibit later on in the packet, Exhibit 10, which will address that.
Okay, thank you.
You know, perhaps in the past, if, well, let me rephrase that. If you prefer to have them in the land witnesses' testimony, we're certainly willing to do that in the future, but we have been including them kind of in some situations, we've been including them with the land witnesses, in some situations, the engineering witnesses, but, you know, please let us know what you prefer.
Yeah, I don't know that I have a strong preference because sometimes it depends, you know, it's appropriate in the engineering testimony. Other times it's, you know, there may be questions about who owns what, and so
Okay.
it just depends usually.
Okay, maybe we'll just conclude them in both to give you an opportunity to ask both the land witness and an engineering witness.
That'd be
questions.
fine.
Okay.
You can call your next witness.
Kathleen, are you still there?
Here.
Okay, let's go to Exhibit 3 in the packet. Tell me what that is.
Exhibit 3 is showing the top. Exhibit 3 is the formation. It's a structure map of the top Bakken formation. Contour intervals are shown as 50 feet subsea. Our proposed 1920 acre unit is shaded in red, and our type log for the Sioux Trail field is circled in red.
Okay, and Exhibit 4.
Exhibit 4 is the type log for the Sioux Trail field, the Sioux Trail 1112H well. The Sioux Trail Bakken pool is defined as 50 feet above the top of the Bakken formation to above the top of the Bird Bear formation. The upper Bakken Shale and the lower Bakken Shale are shaded in gray. The middle Bakken Reservoir and the Three Forks Bench Reservoir are shaded in yellow. In track 1, we have gamma ray. Track 2 are porosity curves, and track 3 are resistivity curves.
Okay, and the engineering witness is going to discuss, in terms of development, whether you're going to develop Middle Bakken, Three Forks, or both. Is that correct?
We are planning on middle Bakken.
No further questions of the geologic witness.
Any questions from the staff? You can call your next witness.
Okay. Zach, Exhibit 5.
Yeah. Exhibit 5 is the proposed development for the proposed overlapping 1920 acre spacing unit, to trail field. In the dash red line are the proposed 1920 acre spacing unit. In the solid blue line are the existing 1280 acre unit, and in dash green lines are the proposed wells, the proposed pilot wells in the 1920 acre spacing unit, and the black lines are the existing operated Hunt Oil operated wells.
And the green lines that you have on Exhibit 5, those are to depict proposed Middle Bakken wells to confirm what Kathleen testified to. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, let's go on to Exhibit 6.
Yeah. So Exhibit 6 is the typical Middle Bakken reservoir properties, reserves, and economics for the Sioux Trail field for a 1920 acre development unit. I point to a net pay of 60 feet in this area, similar porosity and water saturation to the previous matter we discussed, 6.7% porosity, 49% water saturation, and a little under 22 million barrels in place of oil. Estimated recoverable from a 15,000-foot well in this unit would be around 500,000 barrels, leading to a recovery factor of approximately 2.4%. Your PV10 economics are 4.7 million and a 33% rate of return. All the economics shown here are at 100% work interest and 80% NRI.
Okay, I think that may have been Exhibit 7. My Exhibit 6, can you discuss Exhibit 6?
Yeah, apologies, my handout was mixed up.
Oh, okay.
Yes, Exhibit 6, the typical Bakken wellbore schematic for this area, depicting our wellbore configuration here. 150-foot frac stages for these 15,000 footers.
Okay, and in the previous case, there were some questions about pounds of proppant per foot. Will it be similar in this case, or is there some difference?
No. We see these areas in a similar manner for completion. So,
And I believe your testimony in that case was 1,300 pounds per foot. Is that correct?
correct. That is what we have been utilizing for our existing development.
All right, then let's go to Exhibit 8. And as you've done with the previous exhibits, identify Exhibit 8 and discuss what's contained upon it.
Yes, so Exhibit 8 is the activity map of Sioux Trail Field and surrounding areas. The proposed 1920 acre spacing unit is in light red with red dashed outline. Wells that were spud on or before 2017 are in red, and wells spud on or after 2017 are labeled in blue. And again, as you can see, there has not been much infill development after 2017 in these units in the surrounding area.
All right, and Exhibit 9.
Yes. Exhibit 9 is the topography and hydrography map of the Sioux Trail Field. Again, similar demarcation of the proposed unit and the existing 1280 acre unit. The green dashed lines are the proposed preferred pilot well locations for initial development. The dashed red line are indicative of our planned development or preferred planned development for the 1920 acre DSU that's proposed, as well as the mirrored unit to the north in section 1312 and 1. So we look at developing both of these units with 15,000 footers. And again, the slope depicted on the map in white is less than 2.5 degrees. In yellow is 2.5 degrees, 5 degrees, and in red is 5 degrees or greater slope. Oh, and additionally, the green box in the south side of section 36 depict our pad location for the proposed preferred pilot location.
Generally speaking, what are your plans for your proposed development in terms of a spud date? Do you have any idea as to when, if this application is granted, when you might proceed with these 2 pilot wells?
The 2 pilot wells would be the second half of this year. They're in our 2024 drilling program.
And Exhibit 10.
Yes. So Exhibit 10 is Hunter Company operated produced water infrastructure in the 2 trail fields. Again, similar demarcation for the proposed 1920 acre DSU as prior exhibits, as well as similar demarcation for proposed preferred development wells. The items that I would direct you to that are different in this map are the blue lines indicating our saltwater disposal infrastructure, and the blue triangles indicating our own saltwater disposal well. And again, as we discussed in a previous matter, being proximal to our saltwater disposal infrastructure in this field is material to our economics, and it is important for our rate of return.
Okay, and Exhibit 11.
Yes, Exhibit 11 is the Sioux Trail Bakken Pool, typical Middle Bakken, estimated reservoir properties, reserves, and economics. Again, highlighting the difference between a 10,000-foot development and a 1280-acre spacing unit versus 15,000-foot development in a 1920-acre spacing unit. I would direct you to the well economics in the bottom of the exhibit. Again, a PB10 value on a 10,000-foot well of $2 million versus $4.7 million for a 15,000-foot lateral, and a significant shift in rate of return from 24% on a 10,000-foot lateral to 33% on a 15,000-foot lateral. And again, the increased capital efficiency of drilling these 15,000-foot laterals, material to our economics and field development. And so I'd note again here, everything, all the economics depicted here run with 100% working interest and 80% NRI.
And then Exhibit 12, is that a gas capture affidavit that the commission typically requires in these sorts of hearings?
Yes, it is.
And in your opinion, will the requested relief prevent waste, protect correlative rights, and prevent the drilling of unnecessary wells?
Yes, it will.
I have no further questions. Offer the exhibits.
Exhibits are admitted. Any questions from the staff?
Zach, with your Exhibit 5,
Yes.
what are the targets of those existing producers in 13, 24, 25, and 36?
In section 25 and 36, Middle Bakken, and section 24, 13 and 24 is Three Forks.
And then Exhibit 9?
Yes.
Would you be able to supplement a revised version of this showing pad locations for the pilot and any future development?
Yes, we will.
And how long do you plan on evaluating before you would look at docketing a case for the northern 1920 spacing unit?
before we'd get on the docket. 6 to 18 months.
6 to 18?
Following, yes, following initial production on the pilot wells.
And for that initial pilot, I see that there's a pad location on the south for the existing well. Is that where you'd be drilling these from as well?
You're talking about the wells in the red dash line, correct?
For the green dash line, I only see a existing pad location. Is that where you'd be drilling those green dash lines from?
Yes, yeah. I believe it's an expansion of the existing pad location.
Okay, thank you.
Lawrence, does the 24th work again to keep the record
It
open?
does, sir.
Okay, the record will remain open till April 24th. That concludes our hearing for case number 30839. Case number 30747, application of Continental Resources for an order amending the field rules for the Crazy Man Creek, Bakken Pool, Williams County, North Dakota, so as to create and establish an overlapping 2560 acre spacing unit comprised of sections 19, 20, 29, and 30, Township 153 North, Range 99 West, authorizing the drilling of a horizontal well on or near the section line between the existing spacing units of said proposed overlapping 2560 acre spacing unit, and such further relief as appropriate. This case has been continued to the May hearings. That concludes our hearing for case number 30747. Case number 30714, on a motion of the commission to consider the proper spacing for the development of the Bar Butte Bakken Pool, Williams County, North Dakota, redefine the limits of the field, and enact such special field rules as may be necessary. This case has been continued to the May hearings. That concludes our hearing for case number 30714, and that concludes our hearings for the day.